Sherm Chester with you on this edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum podcast with Jay Pinsonnnault from Seacoast Media Group, and of course, Catcher's Byline on SeacoastOnline.com, where I get all my sports. Well, the famous poet, it's attributed to Geoffrey Chaucer, said, "All good things must come to an end." And
Yep.
last time, well, the Red Sox streak started with us, and well, they got to 15, which ties the all-time record for wins, consecutive wins, going back 80 years. So quite an accomplishment. And do we take some credit?
I think we should, and I should also take some credit for the loss last night because I was at the game last night for the second game of the doubleheader, and they lost, which brings my record at Fenway this year to I think it's 1-12. Yeah, as you said, we met with Nesson's Dave O'Brien, the voice of the Red Sox, on the off day in Anaheim to begin the 9-game road trip, and I asked him what would he consider a successful road trip going into the All-Star break with stops in Anaheim and then Chicago and then the New York Mets. And I thought 5-4 or 6-3 would be a successful road trip. And I think he joked saying, let's go 9-0. And they did go 9-0. And then they came out of the break and they swept the Rays and won the first 2 games against the Baltimore Orioles. And as you said, tied the all-time franchise record for consecutive wins at 15. And it came to an end. We all knew they weren't going to go the rest of the season without a loss, and they'd have to, I think we all knew they wouldn't end the season on a long win streak, and it had to come to an end at some point, and unfortunately, it came to an end 1 game shy of setting an all-time franchise record.
Were you disappointed now, sitting in the stands, were you disappointed that they went with the pitching combo? I know Bello was scheduled to come in at long relief, and I was disappointed with their choice of starter for the game.
It was not a good first inning for Eduardo Rivera. He didn't even make it out of the first inning. The first batter of the game lined out to Willie Abreu in right field, and I had liked what Rivera had shown in his previous couple starts, one at Yankee Stadium and one against the New York Mets, and I think there was another one in there somewhere. But I liked him. I was kind of hoping that there were rumors if Ranger Suarez may be activated for that game, and he wasn't, obviously, and they started another lefty in Rivera, and he struggled, and I think that's the first time he struggled all year, and 4 runs and 2/3 of an inning, and Bello came in and did well, kept the Red Sox in the game, and they end up losing 5-1, and I was kind of frustrated that watching the game near home plate that 2 of the runs that Baltimore scored were on passed balls. So I think that was kind of disappointing there. And but give credit to Fenway. I think it's the largest crowd they've had in years there. It was, I don't think anyone left until the game was over. The team was given a standing ovation at the end of the loss, which I think shows a lot that the fans really have enjoyed this run, and now we have a baseball season. Right now, as the Red Sox are in sole possession of the 3rd and final wild card spot, and only a game behind Cleveland, I think, for the 2nd, and the Yankees are in the 1st spot, and we have a baseball season, and we got about 2 months left, and hopefully the Red Sox can address some needs as the deadline approaches, and we'll see if we can make a run and continue this.
I was texting back and forth with my buddy Dan in Jacksonville. We were kind of hoping it would have been a rainout last night, so they could have had a couple of days to regroup and then take and go for the record on Friday against Toronto, and hopefully with Suarez as the pitcher. I was kind of surprised. Usually if you get momentum going, you don't change the mix. I know you've got to have a fresh catcher if you got a split doubleheader like they did. So Navi was going to be behind the plate one way or the other. But the deal was I would have kept the infield the same. I don't change anything when you're on a roll, especially
Yeah.
and in the booth. I was disappointed. Merloni did the early game, and then they changed the booth up in the evening game, which kind of threw me off. I thought, wait a minute, don't change the mix, babe. Don't change
No.
the mix. So
No, when you go when you're on a streak, you do not change anything. You wear the same socks, you wear the same shirt, you sit in the same seat, you eat the same lunch. You don't mess with the streak. And
right.
someone somewhere changed what they were doing, and here we are. We got to start a new streak when Toronto comes in for a 3-game series.
And the only other thing I'll say about the going after the record and maybe getting the record would have been nice to have a Crochet or a Sonny Gray being the guy on the mound,
Mhm.
and even Suarez to go after that record breaking
Yeah.
win. Um,
Yeah.
a bullpen game, you just had a bad feeling. I know we were texting back and forth, and we just had a bad feeling, especially. And I even said it would have been probably better just to throw Bello out there and then
Yeah.
go for broke, or even bring a kid up from Pawtucket if there are. Oops, sorry, the Woo Sox. I show my age. The Woo Sox, and see if anybody could get lightning in a bottle for a big game like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was the only disappointment for me. I mean, I like you say, you knew it wasn't going to be a undefeated rest of the season,
Yeah.
and it just gives, and it goes back to what we were talking about with Dave O'Brien. It gives the fans some incentive to hang in there because
Right.
they turned things around. They surprised a lot of people. Now you mentioned, are they buyers or sellers? But now it looks like we're buyers or
Oh,
traders.
you have to be. Yeah.
Traders.
Yeah.
What what do you see as obviously a bad, I would say, but what do you see as their biggest acquisition?
Yeah, I think the two biggest needs is up the middle at shortstop and second base. Anthony Siegler started off well when he first came up here. He's been in a big slump the last couple weeks. Monasterio at shortstop. He's handled things decently at short. And then they have that Chang guy who's filled in admirably at shortstop, especially at the defensive end. But I don't think you can win in the playoffs with Anthony Siegler at second and a combination of Chang and Monasterio at short. So I think those are the two needs that the Sox have to address, whether it be internally with is Trevor Story able to come back and put him at shortstop, and then at second base. I think some of the names out there that the Sox could be looking at, and I hope they look at, is I think Luis Ariz from the Giants. I think he will be available. His contract ends at the end of the year. The Giants aren't going anywhere. He's a 320 hitter, does not strike out at all. He's having a good season with the Giants. And then I think a name that could be linked to the Red Sox would be Tyler Nato, a shortstop with the Los Angeles Angels. Power hitting shortstop. He does strike out a lot, which kind of goes against the Red Sox philosophy of contact. I heard that Hunter Goodman, Colorado catcher, who you probably saw on your trip out west, he's got 31 home runs, 57 RBIs. He could be had maybe if the Rockies are looking to move him and maybe rebuild there and get some talent. I saw one proposed trade. It was Conley Early, Kyson Witherspoon, a double-A right-hander starting pitcher, Marcelo Meyer, and who was the fourth guy? There was a fourth guy in there. To Colorado for Hunter Goodman, power hitting catcher, 25 years old. I also saw one potential trade. It would be Conley Early, Christian Campbell, and Justin Gonzalez. And if people don't know Justin Gonzalez, 19-year-old I believe he's high A, big power hitting right-handed bat. I think he's got a very high ceiling. So those three going to Detroit for Tariq Skubal. I think that would be great. I would love to get Skubal. You'd only get them as a rental. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Probably I think he's a Scott Boras guy. So I think you would only have him for this year. I don't think they're going to spend the money on Skubal if you were to come here. So that would be a rental. But I think I don't think they necessarily as much as you would want a Tariq Skubal at the top of your rotation. I think a power hitter from the right side of the plate is more in need right now for the Red Sox in the pitching. So I'd hope they trade some assets to someone for a right-handed bat, whether that be the shortstop from the Angels or Hunter Goodman, or I heard Luis Rivera with the Nationals, maybe Jorge Soler. I believe he's with the Royals. So who knows? I think they're going to do something here in the next couple weeks, and I'm just happy that it looks like we'll have meaningful baseball at Fenway Park, and the atmosphere last night was great, and the fans deserve another 2 months of those tarps off in the bleachers at Fenway with all the young college kids taking their shirts off and swirling them around in the bleachers. So that was a fun atmosphere last night at Fenway.
Well, well, you brought up one player. Then I'll throw my 2 cents in. Hunter Goodman. You and I were on road trips. You were down in Atlanta. I was out in Colorado. I got to see a Rockies game. I got to see Hunter Goodman. I want to say a couple of things. Coors Field, we were fortunate enough to stay at a hotel. It was right in part of their complex, and very convenient to get into. But wow, what a poor team. I mean, I can see why they're the worst in the Nationals and I think in majors right now. They can use a lot of help. Pitching probably. There's a place where I hate to trade early. I'd rather give them Bello and somebody, a prospect and something else. But Goodman is the real deal, and he'd be a good person behind the dish. And he does have the pop, so that would be a good acquisition there. Go back to Coors Field though. Wow, people don't. I know Fenway gets a lot of people that say it's old. Let's get rid of it. Let's get a modern stadium. It's too quirky. Well, Coors Field, I guess, holds about 50,000 people, maxed out, and it's just a big warehouse. I mean, it wasn't. We had bad seats. I told the lady at the box office, I said, we're first timers, if anything, low and down in the dish somewhere. Wound up in the row just before the concourse. So we had the underhang, which would have been great if we had any rain, but out there it was 110 in the shade. And so it's just a big warehouse. I mean, it was not a friendly place to watch a game, and the team, basically, we were watching the Colorado Rockies take on the Nationals, so 2 minor league teams.
Yeah.
It was poor. But that Goodman kid, I did get to see him, and unfortunately, we had a crappy night at the plate. But on the other hand, I can see he could be an asset behind the plate for us, and because right now you got Wong, you got Navarez, but you could use that pop out of a bat, and neither of those two seem to have it going. So that would be a team I would be trading a package to. Yeah, I agree.
I would like to know how inflated Goodman's power stats are in relation to playing 81 games at Coors Field.
It's a big hulking place. It's not. I didn't feel it was friendly in the sense that the people were okay. Don't get me wrong, but it was just it was nothing special. And it wasn't, like a historic place. It is for them, but it's, it's like, okay, I saw a ball game. What about you? Now you were in Atlanta. Now that's hot Atlanta. How about that?
Oh, good Lord. I think we caught Atlanta in the one of their hottest stretches. You walked outside and your shirt was soaked in like 5 minutes. But Truist Park, what a phenomenal place there. I think Camden is still my favorite, but Truist Park is right up there with obviously my loves of Fenway and Wrigley, but of the new stadiums, Truist Park in Atlanta was great. That's a beautiful park right outside the stadium. There's it's called Battery Park, and there's tons of restaurants and a downtown area where tons of shops and bar after bar after bar. People are great, and they have a little pool area for kids. Well, not a pool area, more like the shooting water sprouts outside for kids on these hot days. And there's a little turf area where there's a big screen that they were watching the World Cup game on this large screen outside the park. And it was just a great little fan-friendly new ballpark. And I think that's definitely one of my top 5 spots that I've been to, and I definitely would enjoy another game to see the Braves.
And a good team.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a real team. I'm going to say back to Coors Field. I want to just say that we stayed at a hotel called the Rally, which is part of this complex. The owner of the Rockies did basically what our friend Bob Kraft did, bought the area, cleaned it up, put a hotel there, which is right beside the park, and you have I think it's called Market Square, and they have all the bars and the restaurants all in one convenient location. So it's a very friendly place. It's a fan-friendly place. I don't want to give the impression. Just the park itself has no real feel. I mean, it doesn't have that thing like Fenway or Wrigley or Dodger Stadium or Yankee Stadium. I mean, just and like you say, Atlanta, at least you got to see a good team.
Yeah.
A couple of things in baseball coming around on the local level. We've got a tournament time for the young kids and the older kids. Can you tell me something about what's going on here in the Seacoast area and the Seacoast teams involved?
Yeah, the American Legion senior tournament kicks off tomorrow. That's a great little 5-day, 8-team tournament at Holman Stadium. One of my favorite, actually, it's probably my favorite stadium or favorite baseball stadium in the state of New Hampshire. You got 2 local teams playing. We have Exeter is the 2 seed from District B, and then Rochester post 7 is the number 3 seed from District B. Exeter went 11-4 during the regular season. Rochester post 7 went 8-7. So they both kick off. Their state tournament tomorrow at Holman Stadium. Exeter plays the number 3 seed from District A. That's Laconia, and Laconia is a team that's consistently in the Legion State Tournament, well coached there by Joe D., also the head coach of Laconia High School. So that game is at 4:00 at Holman. Rochester will play Lebanon. They're the number 2 seed out of District A. That starts at 1:00. Winners advance. It's a double elimination tournament, but in this tournament where it starts on Friday and it ends on Tuesday, you want to stay on the right side of the bracket and not be forced to play every day, because pitching becomes a priority if you get in the losers bracket, because you're playing basically every day. So Exeter, this is their 3rd straight year in the state tournament, and for Rochester, it's their first time in the tournament since 2019. Tim Metropolis, the head coach of Post 32 Exeter, he's confident in his team. If they come to play, they can play with anybody in the state. And he said he had 3 different options to pitch game 1 tomorrow. Wasn't really committed with any of the 3, but he likes the depth. And for Rochester post 7, Hunter Spencer, who just graduated from Spalding High School, he'll get the start on Friday against Lebanon. And Spencer is a left-handed pitcher. He's going to the University of Southern Maine. this fall, and he came up with a brilliant performance in the state, the high school Division I state tournament back in June. It was either May or June when this game was played, but he upset I think Bedford was the number 3 seed and Spalding was the 14. So Spencer threw probably his best game of his career against Bedford and eliminated them in the state tournament. And he hopes to have a similar performance against Lebanon in the opening game of the American Legion Senior State Tournament.
And Bedford is the top seed, correct?
Bedford's the top seed in District A. Everyone's saying Bedford is the team to beat, and the winner of the New Hampshire State Tournament will advance to the New England Regionals, which this year will be played in at Holy Cross in Worcester, technically Shrewsbury, Mass. And the Seacoast last had a New Hampshire State champion in 2024 when Portsmouth Booma Post 6 beat Nashua in the championship game and advanced to the New England tournament in 2024. So hopefully either Exeter or Rochester can have a successful weekend and perhaps play for a state championship on Tuesday. All games will be played at Holman Stadium, and anyone who loves high school baseball, that's always a great venue and great competition. And then the championship game is scheduled for Tuesday at 4 o'clock, and if necessary, a second championship game would be played immediately after, scheduled for 7 p.m. on Tuesday night.
And one other thing I want to bring up out of Seacoast Online, your report on 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 Portsmouth Little League teams are going to be playing for a title this weekend.
The 12-year-olds, it's a team primarily 12-year-olds, but it's 10, 11, and 12. They will play for the District 2 championship on Saturday. They beat the top seed North Manchester / Hooksett on last night 7-4, and they'll be playing Saturday in the District 2 championship game. The winner will advance to the state tournament. They will play the winner of tonight's game between North Manchester Hooksett and Concord. So the winner of that game will play Portsmouth Saturday. That game will be played at Charles Dwinnell Park in Tilton, with the first pitch scheduled at 10 a.m.
Busy baseball weekend
yes,
coming
sir.
up
Yep.
for our Seacoast teams. Let's put it that way. Well, I guess we'll just have to end on this note that if the Red Sox start slumping, we'll try to get them fired up again and get another streak going if necessary. Well, I said it during our interview with Dave O'Brien. I said that, the team is starting to gel. You can feel it, like Caleb Durbin. That's a good example. There's a guy that couldn't hit his weight at the beginning of the season. Somehow got his head together, got a hitting instructor to work with him, and he is right now, as far as I'm concerned, a spark plug for that team. He's part of that firing him up, getting him going. And you don't have Story right now. He should help when he gets back in. Crochet has been there, talking to the kids in the dugout, pitchers, the young pitchers. So that helps. But the bats and another bat wouldn't hurt. You're absolutely right. This Goodman guy behind the dish would be a nice addition from Colorado. So we shall see. But
Caleb Durham, how bad he was in April and May. I compared yesterday going into last night's second game of the day. I compared it. I looked at his stats and Alex Bregman's stats, and he struggled too. Going into last night's game, they both had the same amount of home runs, 10. They both had the same amount of RBIs, 44. And Durbin had a batting average of 239, and Bregman had a batting average of 241.
Wow.
So basically the same player, and which is kind of everyone wanted Bregman, um, but the Red Sox did not want to commit the years and the money that it would take to bring Bregman back. They let him go. They trade for Durbin, had a tough start to Fenway, his Red Sox career. And ironically, they basically have the same numbers through the first 100 games of the season. And I'm sure the Cubs would love to get out of that contract because I think Bregman, as he ages, I don't think he's going to be worth the money that the Cubs are paying him, not only this year but for the next 4 years.
Well, going back to when we acquired Durbin, I said to my buddy, having listened to a lot of the Brewers broadcast last season, he was a spark plug. He was a spark plug there. He just had to get his rhythm here. Let's hope it just keeps on rolling, and keep it at least in the wild card race. That's all that matters. And then hopefully we get our pitching staff lined up and healthy, and nobody else goes down. We shall see.
Yeah, I don't think we see Crochet this year. I think the next time we see him on a mound will be in Fort Myers at JetBlue Ballpark. I just don't think it's getting so late in the season that he hasn't thrown in 2 months, where I've heard that it's going to take a full spring training amount of time to get Crochet back on the mound, and that's pushing. Like if he gets on the mound today, which he's not going to, that puts him into like the Sox in like early to mid-September, and I just don't think there's enough time that we'll see Garrett Crochet on the mound this year for the Red Sox.
For the 2-minute drill, I just want to say, Jay, there was a reason why I was in Denver, and it was part of a vacation. My wife and I haven't had one in years, so we decided to take something a little different, something that was on the bucket list for years to see, part of the country I've never been to, the Rockies. And it was a train trip between Salt Lake City, Utah, and Denver, Colorado, on what they call the Canyon Spirit. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And we'll be talking about that and other special vacations we've had on our sister podcast, which is the Seacoast Forum. Catch it on all the major podcast platforms. Seacoast Forum. My co-host is Bill Taylor. We talk about all things fun, like pop culture stuff, like music, movies, television, just non-controversial topics where we have fun. And obviously, this vacation is something I'll be talking about for a long time to come. It was a bucket list item, and we can check it off. So, on behalf of Jay Pinsonnnault from the Seacoast Media Group, you can catch his byline at seacoastonline.com. I'm Sherm Chester, inviting you to join us for the next edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum podcast.